Welcome back to TMZ Live. Early Monday morning, President Trump addressed the media talking about the mass shootings in El Paso and in Dayton, Ohio. And he did not talk about one thing in particular that I think a lot of people wanted him to talk about.
He blamed everybody, never talked about gun control.
Didn't talk about gun control. This is what he said instead.
We must reform our mental health laws to better identify mentally disturbed individuals who may commit acts of violence and make sure those people not only get treatment, but when necessary, involuntary confinement. Mental illness and hatred pulls the trigger, not the gun.
Yeah.
So
that sounds like an NRA talking point, by the way, right there. That mental. I mean, we've heard that, too many times after these incidents, after these horrific incidents of violence.
It's the old mantra: guns don't kill people, people kill people.
Right.
But
a lot of people are feeling like, especially because, look, yes, we've had a lot of mass shootings, way too many. One is too many. But this weekend in particular, it is hitting people because of the fact that there were two of them within 24 hours.
13 hours apart.
Yeah. And so will Americans demand more this time?
And I guess the question is, why the opposition? That's what I want to get into. Why the opposition to just banning assault rifles?
Right.
That's the question. That's the focus. I mean, that's a focus.
Right.
But that's the question. What is the resistance to that? So let's get into it.
And I honestly, when President Trump spoke this morning, I thought, I'm sick and tired of hearing mental illness being used as a shield against dealing with what you're talking about assault weapons.
I want to get into this.
So joining us now is a man you've seen. He was the face of NRA TV, one of their hosts, one of their main hosts, and he is joining us now, Colion Noir, a gun rights activist, and as I said, former face of NRA TV. Colion, welcome to TMZ Live.
Hey, Colion.
Absolutely. How's it going? Thanks for having me, guys. Sorry about that.
We're good. So what do you make of what happened this weekend?
I think it's terrible. I think the interesting thing about when these shootings happen is we all go to both of our sides and act as if one side doesn't care about these shootings and the other side doesn't care about these shootings. I think we're all trying to figure out how to solve this issue in this country, and it hurts and affects everyone. We just kind of have different approaches to how we think we can fix it.
But I guess more specifically, the focus certainly that the president, from what he said this morning, seems like the focus should be on identifying people who have mental health issues, as opposed to dealing. He said nothing about
gun control,
the guns.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think right now we have about 20,000 gun control laws on the federal and state level. I think at this point there's a level of redundancy to the idea that we keep approaching this from a gun control standpoint and not start investigating it from a more nuanced position.
Well, and Colion, I hear what you're saying. So let's make it more nuanced. We're speaking specifically about assault weapons, assault rifles, where you can.
Why not ban them?
Right.
Why just however many there are, whether there are 4 or 4,000 laws, why not ban assault weapons, since that is the weapon of choice for these crazy people?
So for the sake of Samantha, let's be very clear that assault weapons, by and large, are banned in this country. The actual guns used in these particular cases were semi-automatic rifles. And so right now in this country, we have about 15 to 20 million of these rifles in this country. Mm-hmm. So the idea that we're going to push a button and then just ban them and they're all going to disappear,
but why not
I think is a bit. I think that's a bit naive.
Time.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen overnight. But why
but
not?
Then there's also,
why? I mean, it's almost like saying, Chicago had so many murders this weekend. Mm-hmm. Why even have a law prohibiting murder? Why try people? They're just going to murder anyway. I mean, of course.
Well, you're not accounting, but you're also not accounting for the idea that we have a Second Amendment in this country. And then, as far as I'm concerned,
what does that mean? Explain what that means.
What it means? It means the same thing as that I have a Fourth Amendment right, a First Amendment right, and a Second Amendment right.
How do you view the Second Amendment?
I view the Second Amendment right from the standpoint of the way that it was stated, that I have a right to bear arms for the preservation of a free state and to protect my life.
So do you I have a question about that. Do you have a right to bear any arms? I mean, for example, in California, you can't have nunchucks. There are all sorts of of things. You can't have a cannon. You
Right.
can't
All
have
sorts
all
of
sorts
weapons
of
you
things.
cannot have.
So it's not absolute. Just the way the First Amendment is an absolute. If you scream fire in a crowded movie theater, that's not protected speech. So
Yeah,
nothing is
and
absolute.
those same limitations apply to the Second Amendment. From the Second Amendment standpoint, I can't murder anybody with my gun. The same way you can't yell fire in a movie theater. If you do, you go to jail. If I use a firearm to kill someone, I go to jail.
Right,
The whole concept of gun control is effectively putting a muzzle on all of the people walking into a movie theater because you're not allowed to yell fire.
Well,
So
except, Colin, I got to ask you something. We're talking about the right to bear arms. That is not, and never has been, an absolute right. So given that it's not an absolute right, that there are certain weapons you can't have, why not add assault weapons and semi-automatics to that list?
No.
What?
The right to bear arms is an absolute right. It's the only constitutional amendment that has literally stated in it shall not be infringed. It is absolutely an absolute right.
Have you read the First Amendment? I want to make this point. Have you read the First Amendment?
Of course, I've read the First Amendment.
Congress shall make no law. No. The word no is in there. No law. Yet there are laws. There are all sorts of laws. You're not allowed to threaten people. You're not allowed to, you're not allowed to use hate speech in some cases. There are all sorts of laws, even though it says no laws because it's interpreted reasonably. So
and Harvey,
hold on. It is
we have
20,000
of those laws on the state and federal level.
Okay,
We're past the point of being
more.
reasonable at this point. It is an outright and complete utter infringement at this point.
It's not an infringement.
Of them.
So, but
Colin,
the reason
what do you use a semi-automatic for other than killing people?
I don't kill anybody. I've never killed anyone.
Well, what do you use it for?
I use it for self-defense. I use it for recreation. The people use it for hunting. There are a myriad of reasons why people own firearms. But for
we're not
me,
talking
the
about
most
firearms,
important,
Colion. We're talking specifically about the type of weapons that we use, semi-automatic weapons.
Well, you do realize that essentially every gun out now, every modern gun now is a semi-automatic gun, including pistols.
Well, okay. It's funny because Donald Trump said we've got to just make it so that we can identify mentally ill people better than we do. Colion, you're not nearly as old as me, but, I remember many, many years ago that all of a sudden, every time there was a mass shooting, they would interview neighbors and they'd say, he was such a nice guy. He always said good morning. So the idea that we're going to somehow solve this by this fantasy of identifying mentally ill people is bullshit.
How so? Do we not take the same approach when it comes to the idea of dealing with terrorism? We have systems in place right now which we use as indicators to justify or to determine whether somebody is a potential terrorist or not.
Yeah, why can't
we do the same? I mean, we just had a case now that happened. There was a shooting that was thwarted not too long ago before these shootings that just happened by a grandmother of someone who was planning to commit a mass shooting. And we were able to do that in that sense. So why couldn't we do that?
Get real for a second. Do you really believe...
Well, Harvey, you disagree with me doesn't mean I'm not being...
No, I know. But do you really believe that this country or any country has the capacity to identify every person who might have a predilection for becoming a mass murderer?
The same way I'm asking you, do you honestly believe that we can get rid of 400 million guns in this country? And
eventually,
if we can,
yes.
Eventually.
Eventually.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Harvey. There's still a Second Amendment, so that is a direct violation of the Second Amendment.
I don't think it is.
Talking about how could
I
you
think
not?
that's up to the Supreme Court to decide.
Like I said,
it's the only conconstitutional right that literally says shall.
No, it's
not.
We just went over that. We just went through it with you.
No, Harvey. You made a statement.
But what you're saying is factually incorrect.
How so?
It's not the only constitutional amendment.
Because
Read
the First Amendment says it also.
Read the First Amendment.
Henry, so you're essentially validating my point. You are willing to completely violate the Second Amendment because you're willing to ban all of the guns in the country.
No.
The same Constitution.
No. We're not talking about banning all the guns in the country. We are not
when you are
talking
about banning semi-automatic guns, yes, you are.
Really? Because
Colion, what I'm talking about is
rifles.
You're essentially relegating my protection and the safety of everyone else in this country to essentially muskets at that point. Because The vast majority
Muskets? Are you serious?
firearm is semi-automatic. Absolutely.
Colion, the shooter in Dayton, Ohio, in 20 seconds, in just 20 seconds, was able to murder 9 people.
Okay.
You don't think that that's extreme?
That's absolutely extreme. It's evil as hell. Which is why
I'm talking
I want
about
a
the
firearm
weapon.
so that if I'm
I'm
ever
talking
in that
about the
position,
weapon
I have
that
one
he
to
used,
defend
Colion. You're going to tell me that the weapon didn't play a role in that? In the speed?
In Virginia Tech, he killed 36 people with handguns.
Okay, and let's
In how
look
much
at
time?
let's look at
Over
all,
how much time?
Yeah, over how much time?
That went on. That was a standoff. That went on for a long time.
Make? He killed 36
Because the time. That's what we're
Because
talking
it can
about.
happen like
the
that.
speed of these weapons.
Because you could be anywhere in this country and get mowed down along with 50 other people in about 20 seconds. That's why.
No, I understand that, Harvey, which is why we want a Second Amendment so we can defend ourselves. That's why I want an AR-15 so I can defend myself with the most adequate means to do so.
So everybody should have an AR. Everybody should have an AR-15.
Everybody has an AK-47 or an AR-15.
If you have a desire to own an AR-15 for your self-protection under the Second Amendment, which allows us to do that, then yes, I don't see what the problem is. I'm not the problem, Harvey. The vast majority of people in this country are not the problem. We're not all killers.
Okay,
but what we do want is when the time arises where somebody does decide that they want to be evil and indiscriminately take people's lives, we want to be in a position to protect ourselves and our families from that.
Yeah.
That's all.
So Colion, so if the people of America decide that they want to change this and they want their congressmen and congresswomen to actually make a law to change this, why wouldn't that happen? Is it because the NRA the NRA lobby is buying up Congress?
I mean, the way this country is structured, we do have an ability to amend the Constitution. So that is possible. Since it's not happening, that should probably tell you that the majority of people don't agree with you.
Okay, look, we are clearly look. I mean, we knew there would be no resolution.
We didn't think we were going to be on the same
but
page.
We wanted to have the discussion,
Yes.
Colion. Thank you.
No, absolutely. And I really appreciate you guys having me on to have the conversation.
We appreciate you doing it. Okay, we are going to take a break.
Right now, there's a culture war against the Second Amendment, which is why I need your help spreading our message to counter their message. You can do this by leaving a comment, sharing this video, and click the bell and subscribe button. Let my voice be your voice, and let them know you want to keep America tactical. Because the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed wasn't a suggestion, it was a directive. Also, if you're wondering where to purchase your state-specific Keep America Tactical shirt, click the link under the Keep America Tactical in the description section of this video.